I want to start by saying something that might feel difficult to hear, but is essential for your healing. You are worthy of so much more than what you've been settling for. It's time to recognize your own value, not based on anyone else's approval, but rooted in who you are. The truth is, if someone couldn't see your worth when they had you, don't make the mistake of letting them back in when they realize it too late. Embracing your worth is one of the most transformative acts you can undertake in your life. It starts with understanding that your value does not depend on how others treat you or perceive you. The world often teaches us to seek validation from others, to base our sense of self-worth on external approval. We've all been there hoping that someone's love, attention, or recognition would make us feel like we matter. But the truth is, no one can truly define your worth except for you. You are worthy simply because you exist. Your worth isn't a currency that can be spent, traded, or determined by someone else's judgment. When we begin to understand and embrace our worth, it becomes less about proving ourselves to others and more about stepping into the fullness of who we are meant to be. Our value is not contingent on being loved by everyone or being seen as perfect. We are all imperfect, beautifully flawed human beings, and that is exactly what makes us whole. Our struggles, our triumphs, our scars, they all add depth and richness to our stories. It's in embracing the totality of who we are, the good and the difficult, that we start to see our true worth. One of the most challenging parts of embracing your worth is letting go of the narratives others have created about you. We've all experienced moments when someone's actions or words made us feel small, unimportant, or overlooked. Maybe it was a partner who didn't appreciate you, or a friend who betrayed your trust, or even a family member who failed to see your potential. These experiences can make you question your value, leading you to believe that if others don't see it, maybe it doesn't exist. But the reality is, their inability to recognize your worth speaks more about them than it does about you. It reflects their limitations, their inability to see beyond their own perspective, not your inherent value. Your worth is not defined by what others have done or failed to do. It's not determined by the times you've been let down or the love that was withheld from you. You are not what you have been through. You are not the mistakes of your past or the people who have walked away. You are the culmination of your experiences, your dreams, your resilience, and your heart. When you start seeing your own worth, regardless of the opinions of others, something incredible happens. You begin to let go of the need for validation, and you begin to attract the relationships, opportunities, and experiences that align with your true self. Embracing your worth means giving yourself permission to set boundaries, to say no when something doesn't serve you, and to walk away from situations that undermine your sense of self. It's knowing that you don't need to hold on to what isn't meant for you. When you know your value, you stop chasing after things that aren't aligned with who you are. You stop allowing yourself to be treated in ways that diminish you. Instead, you create space for the people and experiences that uplift you, that see you for all that you are and all that you are capable of. To embrace your worth is to honor your needs, to trust that you deserve respect, and to believe that the love and appreciation you seek is already inside of you. You don't need someone else to define your worth. You are already enough, and when you fully realize that, the world will begin to reflect it back to you in ways you never imagined. Letting go is never easy. It's a deeply emotional process that requires more courage than many of us realize. When we decide to let go of something or someone, we're not just releasing the person or the situation, we're releasing a part of ourselves that was once tied to it. This can be incredibly painful, especially when we've invested so much emotionally, mentally, and physically into something that now no longer serves us. Yet, there is an undeniable truth. Letting go is an act of courage. It is the moment when you realize that your peace, your growth, and your well-being matter more than the attachment you have to something that is holding you back. The courage to let go starts with recognizing that you deserve more. It's so easy to stay in situations that are comfortable, even if they're not right for us. The fear of change, of the unknown, of being alone often keeps us tethered to what no longer works. But in those moments, it's important to remind yourself that by holding on to what doesn't serve you, you're denying yourself the chance to grow, heal, and experience what you truly deserve. Letting go isn't about giving up. It's about giving yourself the space to move forward, to make room for better things, for things that are in alignment with who you are and where you're going. It takes courage to let go because it means accepting the truth sometimes ends end, and that's okay. We often resist this truth, especially when we've had high hopes or deep attachments. We fear that by letting go, we're losing something important, that it's somehow a reflection of failure. But in reality, letting go is an act of self-respect. It's the acknowledgement that you no longer want to settle for something that's less than what you deserve. It's realizing that you are worthy of love, peace, and happiness that comes from mutual respect and understanding, not from clinging to something that is broken or one-sided. The courage to let go also involves grieving. It's not just about walking away. It's about processing the emotions tied to the relationship, the situation, or the dream you once held. Letting go isn't about pretending it didn't matter. It's about allowing yourself to mourn what you've lost while trusting that something better is on the horizon. Grieving doesn't make you weak, it makes you human. And in the grieving, you find healing. With time, you begin to see that the space you've created by letting go has made room for new opportunities, new experiences, and new relationships that will nourish your soul in ways you didn't expect. There will be moments when you question your decision, when you wonder if you made a mistake, when you doubt your own judgment. These moments are part of the process, part of finding your strength. But every step you take in letting go is a step toward reclaiming your peace, your sense of self, and your future. It's a decision to honor your needs, to listen to your inner voice, and to trust that by letting go, you are opening yourself up to a life that is richer, fuller, and more aligned with who you truly are. Letting go is not just about releasing the past, it's about freeing yourself to embrace the present and the future. It's about recognizing that there's power in choice and that you have the ability to shape your life, your relationships, and your destiny. So, have the courage to let go. Trust that what's meant for you will find its way to you, and that you are worthy of all the love, happiness, and peace that awaits you on the other side. Self-love is not conditional. It is not something that should fluctuate based on how you're feeling, what others think of you, or the circumstances of your life. So often we fall into the trap of thinking that we need to earn our love, that we need to prove our worth before we can allow ourselves to fully accept and care for who we are. We tell ourselves that once we achieve a certain level of success, look a certain way, or gain approval from others, then we'll finally be worthy of love, especially our own. But this couldn't be further from the truth. Self-love is a constant, unwavering commitment to yourself, independent of your achievements, appearance, or outside validation. It's about embracing yourself, flaws and all, without the need for external approval or validation. One of the most liberating realizations is that self-love is not something you have to earn. You don't have to wait until you feel good enough or worthy enough to love yourself. Your worth is inherent. It was never conditional to begin with. The love you give to yourself should not depend on what you do or how well you perform in life. It should be unconditional because you are deserving of it simply by existing. The moment you start treating yourself with the same compassion and respect you offer others is the moment you begin to experience a profound shift in your life. When self-love is conditional, it becomes fragile. It's based on approval, on accomplishments, on the idea that you need to meet some arbitrary standard before you can celebrate your own worth. This leads to constant self-doubt and insecurity because no matter how much you achieve, it always feels like it's not enough. If your self-love depends on external validation, it's like building a house on sand. It's unstable, and it's constantly at risk of being swept away. You'll find yourself caught in a cycle of never feeling enough, always chasing an elusive sense of approval that can never truly satisfy you. True self-love allows you to accept your imperfections and shortcomings without judgment. It means recognizing that you are worthy of care and respect even when you make mistakes, when you fall short of your goals, or when things don't go as planned. It's about recognizing that you don't have to be perfect to be valuable. In fact, your imperfections are part of what makes you uniquely human, and they are just as worthy of love as your strengths. To love yourself unconditionally is to accept every part of you, the parts you're proud of, and parts you struggle with, and to embrace them both as integral parts of your whole self. The key to unconditional self-love is not in striving for perfection, but in cultivating compassion. It's about being gentle with yourself during tough times, being patient with your own growth, and showing yourself the kind of kindness you would show a friend. It means giving yourself permission to rest, to take care of your mental and emotional health, and to nurture yourself without guilt. You are deserving of your own love, regardless of how the world may see you. When you learn to love yourself unconditionally, you stop looking outside of yourself for validation and approval, and you begin to create a solid, unshakable foundation of self-worth that isn't easily swayed by the opinions or actions of others. When self-love is unconditional, it opens the door to a deeper, more fulfilling life. It allows you to take risks, to try new things, and to set boundaries without fear of rejection or failure. It empowers you to trust yourself, to make decisions that align with your true desires, and to pursue your dreams without feeling unworthy or undeserving. The more you practice unconditional self-love, the more you start to attract relationships, opportunities, and experiences that reflect that love back to you. When you show up for yourself in this way, you become magnetic to the people and things that truly support and nurture you. Embrace yourself completely without conditions. Recognize your value without needing to meet anyone's standards or expectations. You are enough just as you are, and when you begin to love yourself in this way, you unlock the power to live a life that is authentic, joyful, and deeply fulfilling. Healing is one of the most powerful, transformative processes you can go through. It isn't just about fixing wounds or moving on from pain. It's about embracing the journey of becoming whole again, no matter what you've been through. Healing is not linear, and it doesn't happen on anyone's timeline but your own. It's deeply personal, and it requires a level of vulnerability and courage that few fully understand until they experience it for themselves. The power of healing lies in its ability to restore not only your physical well-being, but your emotional, mental, and spiritual strength as well. It's the process that allows you to rebuild, reimagine, and reclaim your life in ways you never thought possible. Healing begins with acknowledging the pain you've experienced. So often, we want to rush through our pain or bury it, thinking that if we ignore it, it will disappear. But pain that is ignored doesn't heal, it festers, grows, and continues to control our lives in subtle and sometimes not so subtle ways. True healing starts when you stop denying your hurt, when you stop pretending it doesn't matter, and instead you give yourself permission to feel it. You allow yourself to grieve, to cry, to be angry, to be afraid. Healing doesn't ask you to suppress your emotions, it asks you to honor them, to experience them fully, so that you can finally let them go. The power of healing also comes from forgiveness, not for the sake of the person who hurt you, but for your own peace. Forgiveness is not about excusing the wrongs that have been done to you, nor is it about reconciling with someone who isn't ready to meet you where you are. Forgiveness is about releasing the emotional grip that pain has on you. It's about freeing yourself from the chains of resentment and anger so that you can move forward. It doesn't mean forgetting or condoning, it means choosing to let go of the emotional weight that is holding you back. When you forgive, you reclaim your power and begin to take control of your own healing. Healing also requires deep self-compassion. In the aftermath of pain, it's easy to be hard on yourself, to blame yourself for the situation, or to feel like you should have known better. But healing is not about self-blame, it's about understanding that you did the best you could with the knowledge and resources you had at the time. It's about forgiving yourself for the mistakes you made, for the things you couldn't control, and for the ways you may have contributed to your own hurt. Self-compassion is the key to healing because it allows you to treat yourself with the kindness and love that you deserve rather than with judgment or guilt. Only when you start to treat yourself with compassion can true healing begin. The power of healing is also rooted in patience. Healing doesn't happen overnight, and there will be moments when you feel like you're not making progress. But healing is cumulative. Even on the days when you feel stuck or hopeless, the small steps forward matter. Healing is like planting seeds. They don't sprout overnight, but with time, attention, and care, they grow into something beautiful. It's about trusting the process, even when the road feels long. Healing doesn't require perfection. It requires persistence and self-trust. Healing allows you to rebuild and transform. It doesn't just repair what's broken, it helps you create something new. The power of healing lies in its ability to turn pain into strength, to take brokenness and turn it into wisdom, and to take the cracks in your heart and transform them into opportunities for growth. Through healing, you uncover parts of yourself that you may have forgotten or never knew existed. You rediscover your resilience, your capacity for love, and your ability to rise even after you've fallen. Healing isn't about returning to who you were before the pain. It's about becoming who you were always meant to be, with more depth, more understanding, and more strength. So embrace the power of healing. Allow yourself to feel, to forgive, to be compassionate, and to be patient with yourself. Trust that the process, no matter how difficult, will lead you to a version of yourself that is stronger, wiser, and more whole than ever before. Healing may not be easy, but it is the most powerful thing you can do for yourself. It's the key to unlocking the life filled with peace, clarity, and the possibility of becoming who you are truly meant to be. Boundaries are not just rules we set to protect ourselves from others, they are fundamental acts of self-respect. They are a clear, unwavering statement that we value ourselves enough to protect our time, energy, and emotions. Setting boundaries is an essential part of maintaining our mental and emotional well-being, and yet many of us struggle with them. We fear that by setting boundaries, we will appear selfish, rude, or unkind. But in reality, boundaries are a form of self-care and self-respect that ultimately enhance our relationships with others and ourselves. They are not walls that keep people out, but rather guidelines that allow us to engage with the world in a way that honors our needs, values, and limits. When we fail to set boundaries, we put ourselves in a position where we allow others to dictate the terms of our lives. We may give more than we can, say yes when we really want to say no, or allow behaviors that drain us or make us uncomfortable. This leads to burnout, resentment, and a sense of powerlessness. The people around us may not intentionally overstep, but when we do not communicate our limits, we enable situations where our needs are ignored. Setting boundaries is a way of saying, I matter. My needs and my peace are important. It's an act of claiming your space in the world and refusing to let anyone or anything infringe upon it. Creating and maintaining boundaries involves recognizing your worth and understanding that you are entitled to take up space in the world, just like everyone else. It means accepting that you don't have to be everything to everyone, and you certainly don't have to tolerate behavior that disrespects your values or your well-being. Whether it's in personal relationships, at work, or within social circles, boundaries communicate to others how they can treat you, and they also communicate to yourself how you are willing to treat yourself. When you respect your own boundaries, you teach others to do the same. Establishing boundaries does not mean that you are rejecting others. It doesn't mean that you are being unkind, insensitive, or cold. In fact, boundaries allow us to engage in relationships more authentically because we are showing up as our true selves, not as people who are constantly pretending to be something we are not just to please others. When we fail to set boundaries, we suppress our own feelings and desires in an attempt to avoid conflict or to meet the expectations of others. But this ultimately leads to frustration, resentment, and a lack of fulfillment. When we set boundaries, we are offering the people around us the best version of ourselves, someone who is grounded, clear, and able to engage with them in a healthy, sustainable way. It's important to remember that setting boundaries is a continuous process. It is not a one-time event. As we grow and change, our boundaries may shift, and that's okay. It's important to continually check in with yourself to assess what feels right and what doesn't. Sometimes people will push against your boundaries, and that can be uncomfortable. But standing firm in your boundaries is a form of self-love and self-respect. It's also an opportunity for personal growth. When you enforce your boundaries, you may experience discomfort or guilt, but over time, you will develop a sense of empowerment that comes from knowing you are honoring yourself. Boundaries are not about building walls between you and others. They are about fostering healthier, more respectful relationships, both with others and with yourself. They are acts of self-respect that allow you to protect your emotional, physical, and mental health, enabling you to engage with the world in a way that is in alignment with your true self. When you respect your own boundaries, you create a life that is authentic, fulfilling, and free from the stress and depletion that comes from overextending yourself. Setting boundaries is one of the most loving things you can do for yourself, and it's the first step toward living a life that truly honors who you are. Growth begins in discomfort. It's a paradox that many of us struggle to understand. How can something as challenging and painful as discomfort lead to the positive transformation we seek in our lives? The truth is, discomfort is the catalyst for change. It's in those moments of unease, when we feel stretched beyond our limits, that we are given the opportunity to evolve. Growth doesn't happen when we're complacent or comfortable. It happens when we are forced to step outside of our familiar patterns, when we face something new or unknown. It's in the struggle, the uncertainty, and the challenge that we find the strength to break free from who we were and become who we are meant to be. When we experience discomfort, it often feels like a signal that something is wrong, that we should retreat or avoid it. But discomfort is simply a sign that we are stepping into new territory, that we are pushing beyond the boundaries of what we've known. It's easy to think of discomfort as a negative experience, something to be feared or avoided, but it is in these very moments that our resilience, creativity, and courage are born. We might feel uncertain, overwhelmed, or even afraid, but those emotions are not a sign that we should quit. They are a sign that we are on the verge of something important, something that will help us grow. Growth requires a willingness to embrace discomfort, to face our fears, to challenge our old habits, and to take risks. It's about being open to the possibility that what we thought was comfortable or safe is no longer serving us, and that to move forward, we must let go of the things that hold us back. This could mean ending a toxic relationship, stepping into a new role at work, trying something we've always been afraid to pursue, or even confronting our deepest insecurities. Every time we step out of our comfort zones, we are presented with a chance to grow. The discomfort we feel is simply the process of expanding beyond what we thought was possible. What makes discomfort so essential to growth is that it forces us to confront our limitations. It challenges the stories we've told ourselves about who we are and what we are capable of. We often limit ourselves by the beliefs we hold beliefs about our worth, our abilities, or the potential dangers of failure. Discomfort pushes us to question those beliefs. It asks us, what if you are capable of more than you think? What if your limits aren't as real as you believe them to be? And it's in the act of confronting these limits that we begin to transcend them. Discomfort also invites us to cultivate patience and resilience. When things get tough, it's easy to want to quit or to turn back to what feels familiar. But true growth comes from persevering through those challenging moments, from holding on to hope and trust, even when the path forward seems unclear. It's the ability to endure, to keep moving, even when we don't have all the answers, that strengthens us. Over time, the discomfort we once feared becomes something we can navigate with greater ease. We begin to trust ourselves more, to believe that we can handle whatever comes our way. And we become more adaptable, more capable of facing challenges head on. Growth is about embracing the uncomfortable truths of who we are and who we can become. It's about letting go of old patterns, beliefs, and identities that no longer serve us. It's about being willing to stretch, to fail, to try again, and to learn from every misstep. In the discomfort, we discover new strengths, new perspectives, and new opportunities for growth. It's not always easy, and it's often painful, but the rewards of growth are immeasurable. When we allow ourselves to grow through discomfort, we create lives that are richer, more authentic, and more aligned with our true potential. We settle for less than we deserve. Whether it's in relationships, careers, or our personal lives, we may find ourselves accepting situations, behaviors, or opportunities that don't fully honor our worth. It's easy to convince ourselves that what we have is good enough, or that we should be grateful for what we've been given, even when deep down we know we're capable of more. But settling for less than you deserve is a disservice to yourself and to your potential. You are worthy of more than what you're settling for, and it's time to stop compromising your happiness, peace, and future for the sake of convenience or fear of change. The tendency to settle often arises from a place of insecurity or fear. We may fear that we're not worthy of more, or that we'll never find something better. The fear of being alone, of failing, or of facing rejection can drive us to accept situations that don't align with our values or our dreams. But what we must remember is that we are worthy of the life we desire, the love we crave, and the opportunities we deserve. Settling for less doesn't create the space for us to grow or to experience the fullness of what life has to offer. Instead, it keeps us stuck in patterns that hold us back from reaching our full potential. When you settle, you are saying to yourself, I don't believe I deserve the best. But this is not true. We all have inherent value, and we all deserve to be treated with respect, love, and kindness. When we accept less than we deserve, we diminish our sense of self-worth and limit our ability to create the life we truly desire. We stop dreaming big because we convince ourselves that we're not capable of achieving more. But the truth is, you are worthy of the life you've always dreamed of. And it's only by refusing to settle that you can step into that reality. Choosing not to settle is about setting standards for how you want to be treated, what you want to experience, and what you want to achieve. It's about recognizing that you don't need to compromise your values or your boundaries for the sake of fitting in or keeping the peace. When you refuse to settle, you send a powerful message to the universe and to others: you are worth the best, and you will not accept anything less. This mindset opens the door to new opportunities, new relationships, and new experiences that truly reflect your worth and aspirations. It's important to remember that refusing to settle is not about being unrealistic or demanding perfection. It's about knowing your worth and refusing to accept mediocrity in your life. You are worthy of love that uplifts you, work that excites and challenges you, and relationships that nurture and support your growth. When you stop settling, you begin to create space for those things to come into your life. It requires trust, faith, and courage, but the reward is a life that is aligned with your deepest desires and values. By refusing to settle for less than you deserve, you invite growth, change, and transformation into your life. You learn to value yourself in ways that encourage others to do the same. You start setting goals that are more in alignment with your true purpose and not just what's convenient or safe. You stop tolerating relationships that drain you, jobs that stifle your creativity, or situations that leave you feeling unfulfilled. You start demanding more of yourself and the world around you, knowing that you are worthy of all the good things that life has to offer. The choice to stop settling for less than you deserve is a choice to honor yourself. It's about recognizing your worth, trusting your abilities, and making the decision to create a life that truly reflects who you are and what you deserve. By refusing to settle, you open the door to a future filled with possibilities, a future where you are living authentically, joyfully, and with purpose. Don't settle for less. Your dreams, your peace, and your happiness are worth the pursuit of something more.